And we're live. Welcome everybody here to the Lakers Lowdown. This is going to be a lowdown episode as this is breaking news that we are going to be talking about. I did not anticipate being on the air, so apologies for looking and probably sounding a little grubby. I have been traveling all day back from Southern California back here home to Austin, where it was nice to see the house still standing at least. We were sitting there, Jen and I. Well, Jen's sound asleep. She is dead to the world. But I was sitting there watching Ahsoka, just like I would imagine a lot of other Lakers fans out there, just kind of hanging out there on the couch. I had basically moved on from thinking about this Lakers offseason and was just kind of, okay with or resigned to the possibility that the Lakers were not going to add anybody here for the next couple of weeks as we get ready for training camp, and then bang, as Kevin Harlan, no, not Mike Breen would bang is how I should probably say it. The Lakers, we find out, have agreed to a deal with Christian Wood. The report came via Adrian Wojnarowski. The deal that they are agreeing to is for 2 years, the second year being a player option. So there is a lot to get to here, both specifically with the Lakers, some league-wide thoughts. I haven't been on the air here for the last 10 days or so, so I should probably explain that. And yeah, whatever else comes up, comes up. All right, let's start with the actual news. The reason I am here talking about this, Christian Wood and the Lakers have been linked for a very long time. This has been he has been their top priority as they wrapped up their offseason. He was also interested, according to various reports, in going to Miami, and was waiting to see how things might play out in Miami as we all await a Damian Lillard trade. That obviously has not come to fruition, and I think everybody's just ready to kind of move on. Again, more on that here in a bit. But between just talking about the Lakers and Christian Wood specifically, this has been a conversation that has been taking place for quite some time, dating all the way back to Las Vegas Summer League, was where just based on what I had kind of been told, it really started ramping up. The Lakers really like his talent, his the things that he is good at, fills some holes for the Lakers. He can actually play alongside AD. And I think both those guys would have a positive impact on each other's games. Wood can actually step out and hit three-pointers to space the floor for AD. AD is so good defensively that you can kind of make up for the things that Wood isn't necessarily very good at. Wood also is an underrated shot blocker and presence in that spot. And I think if he's playing next to AD, can be a better rebounder just in terms of percentages and not raw data, but efficiencies. He can actually, I think, get a little bit better in that spot. And I don't think they're going to spend all of their minutes, or Wood will spend all of his minutes playing next to AD. But if they spend any time there, that is the only pairing that made any sense whatsoever on the market. So that has been where Rob has kind of been showing his hand to those who are paying attention, right? Because he was saying that the Lakers wanted to potentially get back to a too big front court. And in order to do so with any real kind of logic, Wood was the only one who made sense. You could, I guess, technically try to do it with Biyombo, but the spacing would have been super awkward. You could maybe say Jackson Hayes, but the spacing would have been super awkward, and Hayes isn't as good as Biyombo. And yeah, like just in terms of a lot of the bigs that were on the market, Wood is really the only one you could legitimately say fits next to Anthony Davis. And then on those games that AD is out, Wood is a better Thomas Bryant, and we saw how well the Lakers played and how well Thomas Bryant played when AD missed time last year. So that would seem to make some sense. And on nights that AD is available, you have, hopefully, at least offensively, ways that the Lakers won't be such a disaster in those minutes that AD sits. So, yeah, I think just between the Lakers and Wood and that immediate fit, I understand why a lot of people are kind of shrugging their shoulders across the league. I see a lot of the response on Twitter from a lot of people that I'm following is like, it hasn't worked for anybody else. It's got to work for the Lakers, right? Because Lakers exceptionalism. And I get why there are people out there who watched Christian Wood and would get frustrated with the talent or the impact not necessarily meeting the talent. And we'll talk about why in some of the in over the next few weeks, and certainly possibly in the next couple segments or so. But I think there's plenty of reason here to be optimistic. It's a veteran's minimum contract. Yeah, he has a player option next year, but unless there's some kind of disaster, he's not taking that. He's not picking up that player option. And even if there is a disaster and he picks up that player option, then it's a minimum contract that the Lakers could just wipe away by waiving him. And yeah, you eat some money or maybe you trade him and whatever. Like there's no commitment here that makes this more awkward than it has to be if it doesn't necessarily work out. And if it does work out, then the Lakers just stumbled into the most talented player left on the market, and quite frankly, one of the more talented players who are available in free agency this year at his position. So, and again, I want to make sure like you guys are noting how often I'm saying talented, because there's a very different thing between talented players and like good players, right? Like you watch Austin Reeves and he isn't, he's skilled and he works hard and all those things, but he isn't necessarily as naturally gifted as some of the guys that he has made greater impacts on. And, some of the things that make Austin Reeves as special a player as he is some of the stuff that Christian Wood kind of lacks a little bit, right? Reeves is this dogged competitor, and at no point over the last couple of years did he mope for roles that he thought maybe he should be in but wasn't necessarily given, and it took a little bit longer for Reeves to be given that responsibility, or and yet he still just kind of showed up, did his work, and eventually showed out when that opportunity came. And sometimes with Wood, the knock on him has been that if he isn't playing exactly the number of minutes that he feels like he should, or at least the number of minutes that he feels like he should, or if he isn't getting a certain number of touches, if he isn't an integral part of the offense, that he will mope, and that is something that the Lakers are probably going to have to nip in the bud right away. But look, he wouldn't be available at the minimum if there weren't these warts. And when you look at the frustrations that came up in these prior spots, it was when he was making more than the minimum. It was when he was playing for a contract, or when he was playing for a bigger role in these other situations. In this case, this is very much a prove it deal. This is what the Lakers did with Dwight Howard, and with Dwight, that worked out quite well, right? The Lakers saw a talented player that the market had kind of given up on and took advantage of that situation with Dwight. And so this is what they're trying to do here. This is exactly what Rob Pelinka just keeps on trying to do. And sometimes it doesn't always work. There are times that, like the second time that they tried it with Dwight, didn't necessarily pan out. There are examples in which just betting on talent didn't necessarily pan out, but it has worked out often enough that I think it's a well that the Lakers should continue to go back to, and that's what they did here. Now, why, on top of, just general, like this is how it goes when the Lakers do something that other fans aren't going to like, they're going to talk their shit, and that's fine. But why is it that Christian Wood's impact doesn't necessarily meet his talent? That is the central question here that the Lakers are going to be asking themselves and trying to steer him back in the right direction. And, some of it is physicality. He is not the thickest person, right? You look at him, and like I ran into him in Vegas, just happened to walk by him in a hallway, and it really struck me like he's super tall, but man, that is a thin human being. And I understand that anytime I see almost anybody, I'm looking at it, I was like, man, that person is thinner than me. That is a thing that happens quite often, but with Wood, he looks particularly slight. And I think when he's playing on teams that don't have the muscle or the physicality to make up for some of what he's lacking in that regard, that compounds the issues that he has just kind of inherently as a player on the defensive side of the ball. But then you look for the Lakers, and AD can make up for some of that physicality. LeBron, Rui, Vanderbilt, there's plenty of physicality that he might be playing alongside in the front court that can make up for that which he does not necessarily bring to the table. So that's one reason I've always been kind of in on the move. The other reason why sometimes the impact doesn't necessarily meet the talent, even offensively, is he does require, as do all bigs, generally speaking, but he does require a player who can get him the ball in advantageous spots. And we saw what that looked like last year with Dallas when Luka made Wood one of the most, efficient pick and roll players and pick and roll receivers in the sport, right? That pick and pop with Christian Wood is pretty difficult to defend when a team has to decide between shading and giving a little bit of extra help to Luka as Wood floats away and floats into space from the 3-point line, where he is very good. As teams get ready to make up for that and send a little bit of help to the 3-point line, that moves a defender away in instances where Wood rolls to the basket rather than floats away in a pick and pop. And that is going to be a tricky thing that teams have to decide on how to guard. And you look at the Lakers, right? They have LeBron who can run a pick and roll. They have Reeves who can run a pick and roll. They have Gabe Vincent and D'Angelo Russell. And there are going to be plenty of guys who can run pick and roll and make Wood the best version of himself offensively. So on both sides of the ball, there are certainly concerns here. And again, there's a reason why this guy is available at the number that the Lakers reportedly have been able to get him at. But in both of those instances, I think there are at least answers to questions, not definitive answers, not this is definitely going to work, not, it is time to start celebrating a championship. It is not that. This is a minimum contract signing on September 5th that, it can go one way or the other. But for what the Lakers are going to be asking of him and for how the league views him, like Wood is going to have to figure some shit out here. And, that's where we get to like the last aspect of the step forward that Wood needs to take here, which is kind of have to listen to what the league is telling you. I talk about this often with Aaron, right? And just generally speaking, but I am a big believer in listening when the world tells you stuff, right? Like, all right, so I had a friend, actually, hilariously, who I just watched get married. Congratulations, Justin. But I had a friend for a long time. He was a really good-looking dude, tall, smart guy, all of those things. And he always complained about, man, I just don't understand why I can't have any luck finding a girl to stick around and having a nice, healthy, steady relationship, right? And there's no like easy way to say this, and this is where I'm obviously not necessarily the best person to give this advice because I lucked into Jen. But with Justin, I would always say, like, sometimes the issue's in the mirror, man. Sometimes you gotta be more willing to sacrifice for a relationship that you are interested in. Sometimes you have to be willing to work on yourself to reach that point with somebody else, right? And you have to be open to that relationship, and that openness, it takes a lot of self-awareness that he wasn't always the best at, right? And I think with Wood, that notion of sacrifice, that notion of self-awareness, and that notion of doing things for the sake of a greater good, for the team, right? Like those are things that, I'm just going to be completely honest, there are rumblings around the league that he's just not that kind of player. And again, if the Lakers are able to, through culture and discipline and that competitive fire that Rob Pelinka talked about when he took over the job, if they're able to harness the talent and also work with the person, that's how this works out. That's how you get the most out of Christian Wood here. And look, again, I'm going to go back to the Dwight example. Remember when the Lakers signed Dwight Howard? I wasn't thrilled. It wasn't a signing that I was like over the moon over. And part of the reason for that was because he had been run out of I don't know how many different situations at that point for being selfish, for being a jackass, for not understanding that sometimes the problem is the person in the mirror. And Dwight has spoken about how it was a very eye-opening experience signing for the minimum, and it was a very eye-opening experience coming off of the bench and having to just kind of fit in on a team rather than demand a team fit around him. And it worked out. The Lakers were able to harness the talent and also work on the person or work with the person. And eventually that led to Dwight buying into, very importantly, a role that led to a championship. And I think here with Christian Wood, the Lakers are going to be trying to do that same thing. And some of this is a gamble. There is some, cost, opportunity cost here in bringing in Wood. What does this mean for Jackson Hayes? What does this mean for Colin Castleton? What does this mean for the Lakers could have signed Bismack Biyombo, and he would have added aspects of the game that the Lakers have kind of lacked the last couple of years, in that physicality and that brute force. That when somebody gets fouled hard, Biyombo would have been the first person to stay. Like, nope, no. You don't foul our guy like that. You don't foul LeBron like that. You don't foul Reeves like that. You don't foul anybody like that. The Lakers aren't going to have that necessarily on their roster again. And bringing in Wood comes with that opportunity cost to basically see that need and say, well, we need the talent. So there are ways in which this is a gamble, but I think it's a worthwhile gamble. And there's some other stuff that you kind of hear about secondhand that I'm not going to bring up here with Wood. There's some interesting characters in the background with Wood that that can grow tiresome over the course of an 82-game season for organizations and for teammates and people covering the team. But like I do think that in this case it's such a easy movable contract and painless contract that if it isn't working out, the Lakers just say, best of luck, dude. You didn't figure it out here. You're not going to figure it out anywhere. And that's how that ends on the negative side. But I like this gamble. I like this play. I've liked this approach that the Lakers have kind of taken on betting on talent and on pedigree. And in this case, you have the talent, you have the pedigree, And also, very importantly, you have the fit. All right. We are going to be expanding on the Christian Wood reported signing. You know, I'm going to talk to Aaron about this. I haven't talked to Harrison on the air for a little while as well, so we'll probably do that. And then I have some guests lined up for the week as I get ready to. I was hoping to take another day to enjoy and recover from this last vacation, but doesn't look like that is going to be the case. I'll be right back at it here, starting now and starting tomorrow to refill out our guest book. But yeah, I guess I should probably explain why there was no season re-preview series as I had promised. I'm just going to be flat out. I haven't taken a vacation like that in years. I've been doing this for about a decade, and I brought my mic with me. The plan was to do that. And the second night that we were there, my childhood dog died. And I just, eventually we had to bury my grandpa. And then, like I said, I just showed up. My buddy Justin told me about, him and his then girlfriend, then very quickly fiance, and then very, very quickly wife. I went to a wedding that I did not know I was going to go on when I was on vacation, or when the vacation started, and it was so much life taking place that I just said I'm going to sit back and I'm going to enjoy it, and there will be stuff to talk about when I get back. So I apologize for the lengthy break and all of that, but I figured I would spend some time with my family that this industry doesn't necessarily allow you to do. And then there's not much I can say on this right now. I also don't want to jinx it, but there's also some career stuff that I am also working on that is also, kind of taking a lot of time and a lot of attention as well. And, shouts to the guy up top. I have a positive update on that front here in the next couple weeks as well. So, again, I am so sorry for stepping away as long as I have. It felt super duper awkward. It also felt like extra funny to get back here to Texas and find out that the TSA went through my stuff because my mic apparently looked extra threatening. And to have all of that happen and not ever use the mic while I was back home is funny how it works out. But I promise that will not happen again. We are going to be getting back to the nitty gritty here, and we are going to be launching that season re-preview series. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. This was actually a thing I was going to do. I was seriously going to launch that series with a Christian Wood episode. I was that sure that the Lakers were going to get him. I had been hearing it all summer. This is, like I said, been in the works all for months now. And I was going to like make a joke, I guess air quotes joke, because I still thought that this was going to happen, but I was going to make the first episode of that Christian Wood. So maybe that's just what we'll do. Anyway, who knows? We'll see where everything goes. But thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you everybody for being patient with me as I did enjoy some family time. And thank you everybody for getting ready for what's going to come next, because it's early September now. We have a couple weeks here. Then we have a few weeks, I guess. Then we're in October, and then you have media day, and then you have training camp. We are right around the corner from some fun stuff, and I haven't even been able to talk about the FIBA stuff that we've been talking about too, that I promised I would talk about as well. So we'll have that to enjoy together as well. So until then, and until the next time you guys hear from me, I'm Anthony Irwin saying have a great day, make somebody else's, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Love you, Abby.